Hi, I'm Jim Lowe, and welcome to High Country Chronicles Knives and Gear. This is part 2 of an overnight backpacking trip that Emery and I took to Bear Lake in the Emigrant Wilderness. If you're new to the channel and haven't seen part 1, I would encourage you to go back and watch part 1. Thank you for watching. The Crabtree Trailhead is in the Emigrant Wilderness in the Stanislaus National Forest, just north of Yosemite. It's a 3-hour drive from the San Francisco Bay Area. The trailhead starts at 7,000 feet and is the primary western entrance to Camp Lake, Bear Lake, Pine Valley, Grouse Lake, Deer Lake, Buck Lakes, Wood Lake, Gem Lake, and Jewelry Lake. Our trip takes us to Camp Lake at about 7,600 feet and then finally Bear Lake at 7,700 feet. The road to the trailhead is closed, and it's going to be about a 3-mile hike to the trailhead. We are on the trail proper. We're finally at Camp Lake. This section of the trail is just snow and bog, snow and bog. We've lost the trail again. No trail from here. So we've made it to the lake. Did not expect the scene behind me. We're just gonna camp right here. Isn't that beautiful? There's 2 nice trout right there in the center of that pool. Gonna put on some nymphs, try to crawl down there and see what I can do. Even though I plan to have a fire, I didn't bring any tinder. I've got the survivor cord, which will work in a pinch, but you know, I thought I'd have plenty of time and I'd be a tough guy and find some fat wood. And now light's dropping and don't have that much time to find any fat wood. So there's plenty of pine around here, but most of this stuff isn't good for fat wood. Just as I say that, I come across this, which there might be some resin in here. Feels kind of hard. Break up my Tier 1 BC, and let's see what we can find in here. Maybe, just maybe, barely. Shouldn't be using it as a pry bar like that. But that's the kind of stuff you do out in the backcountry. So what I've got here is, I think I mentioned it before, the new Phobos Tier 1 BC, and we'll see if this stuff passes the fatwood test. It doesn't look like it has very much resin, but may surprise me. And yeah, I'll do a review on this knife after I beat on it a little while. Okay, doesn't look like it's got very much resin. You know, it smells right, but I'm not seeing the right color. Okay, well, let's see if I can get it to light. Let's get this stuff out of the way. All those pine needles and stuff. I've never used this ferro rod before. It is tiny, tiny, tiny. Yeah, I don't think this stuff is going to light on its own. This stuff's not going to light, but combination of this and the jute in the survivor cord, I think I'll probably be okay. Not convinced I've got enough kindling to actually get a good fire going. So, and it's getting dark, so we'll see what I can do with all this. Feather sticks aren't my bag, but do the best I can. Now that that roll, I rolled the edge earlier, and I'm not feeling it at all right now. Maybe that'll work. I should have done with this. It's like splitting bamboo. Definitely not my skill set. Okay, I am running out of time to get my fire started. Get rid of all this wet bark. I mean, that's not so bad. I'm a little frantic. Oh, that's wet. Okay. These are a little wet.
Why are you cutting those half?
Because I don't have enough small stuff
Okay.
to actually get a good fire going.
Okay.
And so you can't light big stuff without small stuff.
Copy that.
Okay, let's see if we can get something going. I'm not 100% convinced I have enough small stuff, but we'll see. Okay, so let's see what we can do with the meager materials that we have acquired. Jute from the Survivor cord, which, Emery, I'm going to give you a strand. If you could tease it out for me.
What do you want me to do?
Just tease it out.
Like
pull
play
it apart.
with it?
No, just pull it apart. This is one of those things where it's like, when I do it at home, I have no problems. But when I do it and I'm rushed here, actually this is a good exercise because I'm feeling rushed because of the darkness.
Like this?
Yeah, but just like pull everything apart. Okay, Emery and I used a little teamwork to fluff up the jute. Now I'm going to put some of these shavings in here under the theory that they're actually going to light. Well, they would actually fall where I want them to and not jump all over the place. It's a little better. Okay, I've got one shot at this. You know what? Let's just do it this way. Really?
Oh.
There we go. Let's throw the smaller stuff on top of it. I think it's going to go out. No! These little things. We got fire! Can we keep it going though? That's the question. Fire under pressure.
Under pressure.
I was doubtful. But looks like it worked. Here's another
What
one.
is it again?
I tried to find some fat wood.
And
I thought this might have a little resin, not a whole lot.
if it has it, it should go poof.
If it has it, it'll burn really well. And it's funny because I didn't bring any tinder because I was like, oh, you know, there's plenty of pines up there. We'll have plenty of time to find, find fat wood. And then I thought, I don't want to have a fire tonight. And then I realized, oh, well,
if we stay 2 nights here,
we have to.
Do you think we get in trouble?
I don't know. I don't want to.
I
don't want to push the envelope. But I mean, there's nobody up here.
Yeah.
Nobody would see except the video.
Yeah.
But I'd rather not. I
got you.
I try to be respectful of the Forest Service needs. If they only want us up here one night, then there's probably a good reason. Well, probably because it's so crowded. You know, it's not crowded now, but typically this is a very popular lake to come to. Well, I got the fire going, and as quickly as I got it going, I'm going to let it die down. Emery went to bed, and I'm going to eat, and then I'll be going to bed myself. So that was fun. I've never actually put myself under pressure to get a fire started quickly. So went from 0 to done without, you know, any tinder, without any preparation, without any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, great to have survivor cord. I'm glad I always carry it with me. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. Stressful, but a lot of fun. Now I use the Phobos in what for me is, you know, pretty standard use. Banged it across several rocks, banged it over there on the granite, and it's still in decent shape. It's got a few rolls from hitting the granite, and you can tell they're rolls because if you put your fingernail over them, they catch, which means that the blade has rolled and not chipped away. So it's an easy fix with a ceramic rod, and I'll do that when I get home. And I need to do a review on this. I'll have beat it all to heck before that review, but you know, at least I know that it works well. Let's see, for dinner tonight I've got some Barnum's animal crackers. I used to love these as a kid, and I was in the gas station yesterday and I saw this big bag and I'm like, oh geez, I'm gonna take those. They're super expensive, but they're really good. And then somewhere in here I've got salami, and somewhere else I should have some cheese. Where is my cheese? There's my cheese. So I got some Gouda, got some salami, and if that wasn't enough, I got these little hot dog thingies my mother gave me, as well as these apple mango, and that's it. Fruit thingies that my mother also gave me, both from Costco, I think. For 2 nights, I've got a lot of food. So this cap that I have on is something that Emery picked up at Costco. It's got a light that's incorporated in it, and all you do is push and hold and the light comes on. It's got 3 different settings, so pretty cool. And it's warm too. Now, when I was a Boy Scout, I was taught to put fires dead out, which basically means pour water on them, stir them around, pour more water on it, stir it around, put your hand over it to see if it's giving off any heat. If it's giving off any heat, continue that cycle until you can no longer feel heat. So that's what I'm going to do to put this out. I'm going to use snow instead of water.
About 10 o'clock, which is much later than it is when I normally go to sleep. Pretty good day today. I think Emery had a rough time. His legs were starting to cramp on him. You know, Bear was always our alternate destination if conditions weren't great, and you know, conditions weren't great, and Emery was not feeling well. So yeah, I think this worked out pretty well. I'm excited to see what we can do on the other side of the lake tomorrow. I had fun building that fire and messing around with my new knife. So yeah, all in all, pretty good day. See you in the morning. So it's just after 7 on Sunday, day 2 of our backpacking trip into Bear Lake. Sun's about to hit the tent, which is usually my signal to get up. Today we're going to fish the far side of the lake, and then we'll probably head down to camp and camp there. You can only camp one night each at camp in Bear Lakes, and so we'll probably have to get out of here around 4 o'clock. It took us, I think, 2 hours to get from camp yesterday. It'll probably take us the same amount of time to get back. So if we leave here about 4, that should put us there about 6, which should give us an hour to an hour and a half to get our camp set up and to eat. I've been laying here for the last couple hours thinking a lot about that fire that I built yesterday. I put myself under a lot of pressure to get it done as quickly as I could. When I said I only have one shot at this, what I meant was, I didn't have enough tinder or kindling for a second go around or a second chance of getting this fire started. So it had to be like one and done. And it was an interesting experience for me because I've never put myself under pressure to get a fire going as quickly as I could. So, it was like, okay, well, I didn't bring any tinder. Where am I going to find the tinder? And, okay, now I've got some tinder. Where am I going to find the kindling? All that sort of good stuff that you got to take into account when you're pressured into an emergency. So I'm glad I went through that exercise. There are a couple things that I would have done differently. I wouldn't have abused my knife as much as I did. There are some better ways to work with a knife than what I was doing, but I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking, okay, I need to get this done, I need to get that done. And I guess in a pressure situation, that's what you're thinking. Fortunately, the knife just took several really, really small minor rolls. The edge is so thin that that where the rolls are, it's still sharp, and I can go home and I can fix that up pretty easily. But that's what you want. If you're going to abuse your knife, you want the edges to roll. You don't want them to chip, because rolls are easy to fix, and it means that you've got a good knife that's been heat treated well. This is my first time using MagnaCut. The other thing that I didn't do before I left home, I meant to put some Loctite on my sheath, and I didn't do that, so I've lost 2 of the screws, which is unfortunate. Fortunately, I hadn't taken off the scout straps, and the scout straps have 2 extra screws on the sheath, so I was able to swap those out. Here's the edge on my Tier 1 BC. I don't know if you can see where it's rolled there, but it's really sort of minor. I really sort of abused this knife yesterday. I knocked it against granite probably a dozen times. I used it as a pry bar. Still seems like it's pretty straight, so no issues there. Those are all, do as I say, not as I do sort of things. You shouldn't be doing that with your knife. Now, I mentioned yesterday about how I don't use a ground cloth. One reason that you might want to use a ground cloth is the condensation that builds up. So you can see here, there's a whole bunch of condensation that's built up underneath the tent, and the tent's waterproof. None of that's coming through, so I'm not real concerned with it. But if you're not, if you're one of those people that is not going to air out your tents after a trip, you might want to use a ground cloth. Typically, what I'll do is I'll hang the tent to dry it out before I put it away, and if it's still wet, I'll take it home, and when I get home, I'll lay it out in the backyard. Continuing along the lines of beginner tips, a couple things. One, if you're a person that can't stand the early morning cold and it's your first backpacking trip, you might want to wait until the sun hits your tent before getting out, because once the sun hits the tent, your tent basically acts like a greenhouse. It warms up really quickly. Another beginner tip is, if your feet get cold at night in your sleeping bag, you can stuff your down jacket down at the bottom of your sleeping bag, and it will add additional insulation for your feet. So I'm one of those guys that I've got cold extremities, and so since I've been doing that, I've had no issues with cold feet at night. And I know some of you are thinking, well, just wear extra layers, wear extra socks. I did that and it didn't work for me. I would have, these really thick wool socks, some thinner wool socks, some silk socks on, and my feet were still cold. So this solved the problem. So something I haven't talked about is the bug situation. Mosquitoes are out. They are not bad. It's almost like you were up here in May. There are some sections in the marshy areas where if you're standing around for a while, they'll descend on you, but still not terrible. So yeah, this has been a very pleasant trip from a bug standpoint. Just like everything else, the season is delayed by several weeks. So it got cold fast last night when the sun went down. You can see why. There's a thin layer of ice on the lake this morning. So that explains why it's still it still hasn't completely iced out. So time for the morning routine. I'm walking around here in my Crocs, which is a little dicey in the snow because they don't really do well on snow. Last night was pretty uneventful. Got to bed later than normal. I don't know if it was because of that, but I didn't wake up as often as I normally do, which was nice. Woke up feeling kind of cold, which is strange. And then I realized that sometime in the middle of the night, I must have gotten up and unzipped my sleeping bag. As I said earlier, it got really cold really fast yesterday. But other than that, pretty uneventful night. I forgot to mention that on the hike in yesterday, I did hear a big cat, which was kind of cool. First time that's happened in the backcountry, but nothing of note to report. Breakfast today is going to be Quaker 100% natural granola and some protein powder. And then for lunch, made sure to bring some sunscreen this time around. For lunch, Pop-Tarts and these little things my mom gave me to snack on during the day. And I'll probably take these little things too. I don't typically like eating things that I'm not familiar with in the backcountry, but we've only got one more day, so how bad could it be? Famous last words. So in my haste to find some fatwood yesterday, I didn't check this lower section here. No. Nope, not the right color. This stump has enough resin to keep a good bit of it from rotting quickly, but not enough for fire starting. And I did go through and do a quick survey of all these nearby trees to see if they had any, small little nubs that were usable, or low branches that I could pull off. But no, none of them seem to have any. Okay, I found another tree that seemed to have a little better resin, and just for the heck of it, I want to see if any of this will start up.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that did go up. Well, what do you know? I could have used that tree. So I saw this tree yesterday, and I was hoping I could find a better source of fatwood. And frankly, I should have just come here. I mean, as you saw, all I did was come over here and I just scraped this tree where I can see, where I can see the fatwood. I got a small pile in my hand like this. I went over and I started it. Easy as you please. So that just kind of goes to show you, go with your gut instinct. I mean, that was the better source of fatwood. I just thought it was going to take too long to process, and so I went looking for something better and didn't find anything better, and then just went ahead with what I had. It's about 10 o'clock and we're going to head to the other side of the lake. Trying to find the best way to go. There's this steep bluff that we're going to have to go down. And then we've got to go through this meadow, which is a marsh, even during good years. Okay. Alrighty, and we'll just go through these trees. And then we'll cut through the marsh. I told you we were getting wet. So that actually wasn't so bad. I've got waterproof shoes on and it wasn't deep enough to get over the edge of my shoes in most places. We're going to skirt these rocks, see if we can find the main trail. Campground should be right there. Here's the other campground. And yet another campsite on the other side of the lake. So as you can see, on the north bank, I think this is the north bank, there's quite a few places to camp. That south bank always seemed a little sketchy to me. It's it's pretty steep most of the way. Another learning for today is if you're both traversing across a steep snowfield, to make sure that you space yourselves apart so that if one falls, you both don't fall. Okay, we're getting closer and closer to the outlet. It's actually on the other side of this rock, and I'm trying to see if we can skirt this big rock and get to something a little bit more forgiving to get down. And campsite. Imagine a fish swimming up here thinking it's going to be able to spawn and return to the lake. It's just not going to happen. So I caught a fish in this creek once and released it back in the lake. Another buried campground, and this is the side of the lake that we were originally gonna camp at. It looks like things worked out for the best. It's a beautiful inlet here. The fish can't go any farther than the falls, so they stack up. And dry fly fishing here is usually pretty good. So Emery's decided to fish farther downstream. I don't know what I was thinking. I left my waders at the campsite. I also left any way for me to record while I'm fishing at the campsite. So I'm getting wet. It's going to be wet and cold. I'm going to start off with the crippled caddis dry fly, and then I'm going to switch to my my normal nymphs. Now I know I've talked this place up, but the truth of the matter is I haven't fished here in 15 years. I don't know what it's like now, and I'm not seeing the number of fish that I had expected, so oh well. I've got those memories. Okay, so it's cold, and I don't like dry fly fishing to fish I don't see, so I'm going to switch to a nymph. I figured out how to film while I was in the water. I just put my pack back on, and I use that to film with. Wow, that's cold. I can make like 8 casts before I have to get out. I'm not doing any good in the water, and I did see a big fish in here, so as much as I hate presenting from above them, that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna come in here and we're gonna cycle off 4 casts each, and then the next person moves in. Looks like there's a storm coming up from Camp Lake. Crap. I left my rain gear back at the camp. So we've come downstream a little bit to check out the rest of the creek going into the lake. This is usually good too. I'm not seeing anything. So my watch is showing that the barometric pressure has been dropping for the last couple hours, and with no fish showing and inclement weather on the horizon, I think we're going to head back to camp. We'll probably break camp and either head to Camp Lake or head out. So the snow on this side of the lake has got to be at least 8 feet deep, and there is a lot of it. There's still a little shoreline on this side that can be fished. We're making a little bit more direct route back and actually following the trail this time. That's the point I was fishing off of last night. This area is usually pretty good for small brook trout. Looks like we can follow our footprints all the way back to that first campsite, maybe? Maybe. Where'd they go? This is a really beautiful lake, and it's no wonder that they only allow you to camp here one night. It gets crowded as it is, and you know, if people were allowed to camp here more than one night, they'd be here for a week at a time. We're back at the meadow. The question is, what's the best way to go back? And here's where we crossed. Wow, that meadow is really waterlogged now with the half day's worth of snow melt. Got a flipping marmot at my tent. And I left, don't worry, I'll get him out. I left it partially open. 2 marmots. Are you flipping kidding me? Yeah, go, Mr. Marmot. Well, smells like they peed around here, but doesn't look like they got inside. Well, that would have been really cool if it wasn't right next to my tent.
Yeah.
First time I've seen a marmot that I can remember here, for sure. Maybe even the Immigrant. I can't remember if I've seen marmots in the Immigrant before. They were pretty good size. It doesn't look like they got into my tent at all, so I'm happy for that. It looks like they were just sort of sniffing around. There's nothing in there really for them. All the food is in the bear canister, but you know, sometimes they like to lick the salt, and I say they, I mean rodents in general, like to lick the salt off of whatever you have that's salty. So typically it's my fishing rod, which is evidenced by all this chewing down here, but it's also been, you know, it's also been my poles. So yeah, looks like no crisis here, although it does look like maybe they were tugging on my waders a little bit. Yeah, the tent looks unmolested. I left the vestibule partly ajar to get some ventilation in there, dry things out. Doesn't look like they've been chewing on my Crocs at all. So yeah, all good. Looks like the ice is pretty much where it was when we got here yesterday. There seems to be more water in the lake. It seems to be a little bit higher. All that makes sense, of course. Mr. Marmot's back. I wonder why. Why are you back, Mr. Marmot? Nothing here for you. Go. Thank you. Go. Very beautiful coat. I do appreciate your coat. Now that we're back at camp, it does smell like rain, so we'll see what's coming. The other marmot is going towards your tent. On the left. On the left. Right over here.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like the marmots are here to enforce the one-night policy. They keep coming by to make sure that we're leaving. It's 2:14 and we're heading out. We're heading out. So we're going to head back to the cars. Hopefully it won't take us the 6 hours to get out that it took us to get in. We'll see. It is going to be a little bit more challenging because we're leaving later in the day. The snow is going to be a lot softer. Hopefully though, more of the trail is clear. So maybe 6 of one, half dozen of the other. And it's going to be wet. It's going to be very wet. Wow, an actual trail duck. So this looks like a pretty good place for us to fill up on water. Watch the well on the right. We seem to be making better time than yesterday. It helps that, you know, we can remember all the pitfalls that we came across and avoided successfully and unsuccessfully yesterday. So we've got a well here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We've got a well here,
Absolutely.
which comes at least to this spot right here.
Yeah.
And then there's a well over where that branch is. So we might be able to come up this side
Okay.
and then go over.
Okay.
I think I would rather risk going this way
Okay.
where the mounds are, stepping over
Okay.
the low spot there. Let's see how bad this is. And I don't know. I think I'm just going to come around this way.
Yeah. Come around and go that way.
Yeah, go to the unknown. You can't fear what you don't know. We survived the multiple wells over there. It was really soft and the edges were really crusty, but we got through it. Camp Lake should just be on the other side of that saddle. There's the trail marker. Crabtree Trailhead. Bear Lake, Paiute Meadow. If we had gone to Gem as originally planned, we would have gone down that way. No camping between trail and lake. So yesterday we went a little off trail to the left and didn't go near the little lakelet. Okay, we are officially back at Camp Lake. 1 hour and 25 minutes to get to this side of the lake. So we're on the far side of the lake. The trail is this way, and it's going to go up and over. We can maybe skirt across. The issue here is there are lots of rocks and boulders and fallen trees, and there are going to be lots of wells. But this is going to be our last uphill for the day. So after we get to the near side of the lake, or what I call the near side of the lake, it's all the way, it's downhill. Okay?
Let's do this.
Uh-oh. Bad news.
Uh-oh.
You left your sweater. I'll go get it.
You sure?
Yeah. So Emery dropped his sweater
Yeah, I did.
at the exact place that I just fell. So I'm gonna try and go get it, and we'll see how that goes.
I told Jim he didn't have to beat people, so FYI.
This is hard ice.
Yay!
Hey, halfway.
Shit.
It's only halfway. No celebrations yet.
That look good on you.
Right.
PC. Baker's College.
Okay. Now before I slid down this,
Yeah.
but now we got these little bumps in here. So I'll go over here. Try it again. Ta-da!
Yeah! Woo-hoo!
Yatta!
Save the day.
So, back at the near side of Camp Lake in just under 2 hours, which surprises me because I feel like we're making better time than we did yesterday. So we'll see how long it takes us to get to the trailhead from here. You know, on a normal day with a pack on, it shouldn't take more than an hour and a half. Without a pack, you know, just over an hour. Yesterday it took us 3 hours to get here. I don't think it's going to take us 3 hours to get back. And as I mentioned, there are several really nice campsites up on that bluff, and it's got a really nice view of Pine Valley as well. Okay, when I said that pitch by Camp Lake was the last pitch we had to climb, I was not entirely honest about that. There is a little hump in the middle. So, about 45 minutes in, and we've just passed the trail cutoff to Pine Valley. They've had prescribed burns in the area, and we're starting to smell the smoke now. When we came up, the smoke at the pack station wasn't too bad. It was bad in Pinecrest, but you know, we didn't have any problems coming up, and it's certainly a little bit worse now on the way down than it was yesterday. Lots of detours. About 50% of the trail is covered with snow, and the other 50% is covered with water. Yay! We're on the descent. Hopefully, we're about 45 minutes from the trailhead. I just had a thought. We're gonna have to cross the creek again. And yeah, I think it took 20 minutes for us to cross the creek on the way up, so that ought to be interesting, especially since it's got to be fuller now than it was yesterday morning. For fuel this trip, I've been taking Spring Energy, the Speed Nut. It's 250 calories. I take one every hour. There's also a slight incline as you get closer to the trailhead. You're well rested by now from all the descending, so not much of an issue. Plus the elevation's a little bit lower. What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? I think we need to go down and around. I'm gonna go around. Emery's crawling through. We are 3.5 hours from Bear Lake, and we are reaching the final descent down to the trailhead. Look like the Mothman right there. Okay, I think we're down at the creek. So last time we went downstream. Maybe upstream would be better for us this time. So here we are upstream from where we were before. Frankly, I'd be comfortable crossing there. Yeah, right up there. Easy as you please. Maybe not as easy as I thought, but that looks doable. That's doable if you don't mind the jump. Maybe up there, if you don't mind crawling through the rocks. See 3 possible routes. Right here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, standing over a well. Yep. You can come across these rocks, step up and over, or you can come across there if you want.
You're gonna get wet anyway.
Yeah, you're probably gonna get wet regardless.
I'm gonna go like that.
So if you want to just walk through the shallow water,
Yeah,
that works
from
too.
here, how many? Like, how long is the trail?
The trailhead, oh, the trailhead's like 10 minutes that way.
Okay.
And then
That's
it's gonna
trailhead to the car.
another hour and 15 minutes. Okay, we didn't stay dry, but it didn't take us 20 minutes to get over. To be fair, I'm exaggerating a little when I said it took us 20 minutes to get over. What I really mean, it took us 20 minutes to get from that spot to the opposite side of the second creek. And right now, it's maybe taking us 7 minutes at best. Okay, we are essentially at the trailhead, and it is now 6 o'clock. So 3 hours, 45 minutes. With any luck, we'll be at the cars before 7:30. No stopping to check for fish. We're on a mission. No cars, so they haven't opened the road yet. The trailhead, we've got this hill to climb to get to the main road. This is steep, but it's kind of nice walking on. I mean, it's not exactly a groomed trail, but you know, not having to dig holes in the snow and go up horse steps. So this is nice hiking. 4 hours in and still climbing out of the valley of the trailhead. Finally at the main road. The sign puts it at half a mile. Strava puts it at 3/4 of a mile. Still trucking. It's what is it, 6:45? We are finally on the pavement. 2.4 miles, and if I'm not wrong, we round this bend, we go down the hill, and we're right at the cars. Okay, I'm pretty sure we're in the final stretch. Temperatures have really dropped. It's a bit cloudy here, sun's going down, but we're so close, I don't want to stop to put my jacket on. And there she is. So we're rolling in at just about 5 hours. Back at the car. 2.9 miles from the trailhead in about an hour and 7 minutes. What an overnighter. I mean, from the interesting trip on the way in to the surprising conditions at the lake. My honey hole didn't pan out like I would like. I challenged myself with that quick fire, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. So if you enjoyed watching a bunch of old guys trek through the snow to high mountain lakes, fend off marauding marmots, and barely get a fire started, please like and subscribe. If you've watched the entire thing, thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for coming along. Got my Phobos Tier 1 BC. Maybe, this is not very heavy, but maybe we can do some cross batoning with it. Yeah, I need a better, I need a better baton for that.